Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into today's video. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Crossing the Line. We've got an interesting story. It's a bit old. It's from last year, but I came across it looking for something to talk about today. And furries in Australia, we all know what furries are. We love furries, don't we? Because what else would you like to hunt? I mean, they've got everything. Hunting furries, it should be an Olympic sport. I can't wait for it to be live streamed. And we should, I don't know, start some sort of GoFundMe to bring it out, and like maybe UFC, Dana White could get involved. That'd be fantastic. We can hunt furries. I mean, there's less evil things going on now than hunting furries. I mean, hunting furries just sounds fun to me. I don't know about you. But we're going to take a look at this story from news.com.au. It's a little old from last year, but I think it holds up, and I think it's pretty poignant now and still relative to what's going on with Gen Z and our youth of today. A private school in Melbourne is reportedly supporting a year 8 non-verbal student in identifying as a cat. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Herald Sun reports that a phenomenally bright child has been allowed to assume the identity with the behaviour linked to the furry subculture that has been adopted by some teen circles. No one seems to have protocol for students identifying as animals, but the approach that has been that if it doesn't disrupt the school, everyone is being supportive, said a source close to the family. The behaviour is being normalised now, and more people are identifying as whatever they want to identify with, including furries. Although the school didn't confirm the girl's attendance, they said that the approach to the mental health is always unique to the student and will take into account professional advice and the well-being of the student. Does that mean they're putting out kitty litter trays for her? Is she just only eating tin food or whiskers out of a bag or something like that? Like, how far do you want to go with it? Like, when she's sitting there licking herself in class, are you going to, like, tap her on the shoulder and say, hey, don't lick your mutt in class? Like, put your date away. Like, what's going on? Like, are they dressing up as a cat? I mean, I don't like cats at the best of times, let alone a human child cat, which is just really disturbing to me. I don't know about you. Earlier this year in Michigan State School in the US Midwest, a school that was forced to debunk claims that it had implemented a litter box for the kids. There it is. Litter box for the kids. This was a response to a concerned parent who was blasted the school at the school forum. I am all for creativity and imagination, but when someone lives in a fantasy world and accepts other people to go along with it, I have a problem with that, said a concerned parent at the time, who defined furry as someone who identifies as a cat or dog or whatever. In response, the superintendent in Midland Public Schools near Detroit, Michael E. Sharrow, said that there was no truth whatsoever to this false statement or accusation. It is unconscionable that this afternoon I'm sending this communication. However, my Midland PS stakeholders may be confused about the false message or accusation that has resurfaced this week is gaining traction in the social media realm, he wrote. Now, I remember that story, and there was several students that come out and said that that person was using a litter box in the bathroom, that the school had set up a litter box for that student. A whole bunch of other cases have arisen where said litter box has been given to a child. If that's true, I mean, they're kids, they're going to lie, they're going to bully, they're going to tease. But if that's true, that school really needs to be reined in. I mean, how far do you want to go with letting a child, who's literally a child, make up that they're going to be a random animal? And how far are you going to do that? Are you going to just, if they think they're a horse, are you just going to go and put them outside in the stall, or are you going to put them in a stable? Are you going to ride them around on lunchtime? Some teachers do those things with students, but we won't go there anyway. The above incidents come as some Gen Z teens have adopted the furry subculture in which people anthropomorphize animals and begin to give them human characteristics. While some members choose to adopt the fursona, that was a word I didn't know existed and didn't need to know existed. The ABC reports only 20 to 25% of furries have fursuits. That's because they're exceedingly expensive, I'd say. The subculture is also removed from sexual fetish. A quick Pornhub search will show you that there is a massive sexual fetish going on with furries and furry-related things. Actually, funny story. I have a friend who will remain nameless for this, but his children were coming of age. His young boys were coming of age of watching pornography, and you know how every parent gives their kid a tablet or a phone to watch, you know, Sesame Street or Netflix on or whatever. He since found it wasn't so much furry porn, but it was like animated furry-esque type sexual things on there on videos that he was watching. I think I can't remember how old the child was at the time, but as you can imagine, that really pissed him off, and the child lost all privileges with the tablet after that. So where they're getting it from, I don't know. Maybe it's like Lola Bunny from Looney Tunes and things like that, like they're sexualizing animals on cartoons and animes and things like that. I mean, I can see where they're coming from. Lola Bunny, there's cosplays out of it. There's whatever it is. There's you know, the rule of the internet is if you can imagine it, there's porn of it. But how is it getting into these kids? I wonder whether the YouTube algorithm's feeding it to them when they're sitting there on their tablet watching something. It's entertaining. I wonder what cartoons they grew up watching. I guarantee you it'd have something a lot to do with probably Disney, because we know Disney is getting into the business, or has always been in the business of sexualizing content for children, and it only ever seems to be getting worse now. While some members choose to adopt their fursona, blah, 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 the subculture also removed for sexual fetish. On TikTok, the hashtag furry features people wearing elaborate cartoon animal costumes dubbed fursuits. In some cases, participants may wear the entire fursuit, which covers their entire body, while others just opt in for the head of the animal. In a Rolling Stone feature in 2019, the director of communications of the Anthrocon annual furry convention that takes place in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, said that there are a range of reasons why someone may want to explore the furry subculture. Yeah, there's a few reasons. Some of them like the aesthetic, and they like the idea of creating somebody that they like the idea of someone other than who they are. I'm just going to say, outright say it. If your child is a furry, I would send them to a doctor immediately, because and keep them away from the dog. Like, if you have jars of peanut butter going missing in your house and the dog's gaining a bit of weight, I don't know, maybe ask the question, check on their phone or their tablet, see what the kid's been up to. But if they're asking you to go out and buy them a furry costume, or if the kid's saving up for a furry costume, I think you might need to start going to church. I'm not a fan of religions or anything like that, but I don't know how the hell you're going to stop your kid from becoming a furry. I'm gonna have a talk to my mate after I get off here and find out where that went with his kid. But I'll make sure he keeps an eye on it, because I can't imagine anything worse than waking up one day and finding out your kid's a furry. People are worried about their kids coming out as gay or pansexual. I mean, if you're in love with a frying pan, go for gold. Just stay away from my pots and pans. I really do enjoy my wok. But if you come out as a furry, if your kid come out as a furry, that'd be pretty heartbreaking. It'd be pretty hard for a lot of millennials or boomers or anything like that to understand. So I don't know. I do think, though, that Dana White, the UFC, someone like that needs to get behind. Maybe who else, like Grand Thumb or Donut Operator YouTubers, they can get behind, and we can get a fund together to start maybe buy an island where we release furries onto that island and hunt them for sport. I mean, I'm not saying anyone needs to die, but you got to make it interesting. You remember those? It was a Steve Austin movie. It was all these criminals were put onto an island and they had to kill each other off. For whoever's last alive wins, and they get off the island and they get free. Something like that. Maybe like an actual Survivor, but with furries. And see how they go. Maybe Naked and Afraid, but it's like Furry and Afraid. That'd be great. Furry and Afraid. But we can make some money out of this and get some entertainment, because the only alternative is children in our schools here in Australia are going to be dressing and acting like animals. I mean, we've probably all seen a few videos online that raise an eyebrow. But if anyone deserves to be bullied, it's these people. Just saying. I mean, I was bullied for being like emo, goth, heavy metal kid growing up, whatever. But how the hell have they gotten to the point where they don't get bullied enough where they can wear a fursuit, piss in a litter box, and watch dog porn, and they're not getting bullied? How have we fallen that far as a society? But maybe ask your kids if they know any furries at school. Maybe make sure you check up on what they're watching online. And let me know what you think down in the comments below. Disney is suing Ron DeSantis in Florida because he's pissed off the old corpse of Walt, and he's really upset them. And I think this is all just a bit of a targeted assault on the Republicans and anyone that could be possibly running in 2024. We'll take a look at another story later with Tucker Carlson being removed. But it just seems to be a coordinated assault on anyone on the right or anyone that could be running Republican or possibly beat Biden in the next election. It seems that they're attacking them, and not just that, they're attacking anyone in the media. They're going after Tucker Carlson, obviously, going after Ron DeSantis now. They've been going after Joe Rogan for how many years? It just seems that they're stepping up their game, and they are actively going out of their way to shut down anyone in the middle ground or anyone on the right that actually has an opinion and might get people thinking and voting in the correct direction. But we'll take a look at this story from news.com.au. Disney sues Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Movie and theme park giant Disney has escalated its battle against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who said widely predicted the main competitor for Donald Trump becoming a Republican candidate for the next US president election. The Walt Disney Company has accused Mr. DeSantis of penalizing the firm, threatening its business operations because it publicly disagreed with the Republican politician's controversial so-called Don't Say Gay policy in Florida schools. It has cited the comments of the governor, including that he could allow the building of a prison next to the Magic Kingdom. The new policy enacted last year initially banned any instruction in Florida schools about gender identity and the sexual orientation for students below the age of 9. This month, it was extended to all students up to the age of 17. Now, the Florida Don't Say Gay bill that they labeled the so-called bill is a load of shit. That was basically just the left's propaganda saying, oh, you're not allowed to say gay in schools. Actually, what it was teachers were not allowed to discuss with children underage their sexual orientation. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think I knew any of my teachers' sexual orientation unless they had a husband or a wife. You kind of guessed that they were straight. But we didn't really care, and that wasn't really brought up at school. I don't understand why anyone in the LGBT want everyone to know what their sexual orientation is. They don't go around telling everyone what kind of porn you watch. What's the point? No one cares. Just shut up. Telling underage kids in primary school, I think to the age of, 4 or something, what sexual orientation you are and what they should do about theirs. That's none of your business. Stay out of it. The kids haven't even hit puberty yet, for God's sakes. And the left goes and turns it into this bloody anti-gay, don't say gay bill, and you get all these retarded stars on social media saying, oh, like I think Arnie came out, and then the guy who plays Hellboy, whatever his friggin' name is, he's an idiot. But they all come out and say that he's being homophobic and all this crap. They have no idea what the bill says. They have no idea what the legislation actually is. They just swallow the pill and keep reading off of Twitter and following the line, because if they don't follow the line, then they get ousted and cancelled. The new Florida officials have said that the law simply clarifies that teachers should stick to existing curriculum, but the critics have said that it marginalises young LGBT people. Mr. DeSantis has repeatedly said that Florida is the state where woke goes to die. Thank God. Last year, former Disney CEO Bob Chapek said Mr. DeSantis to express our disappointment and concern if the legislation becomes law, because it used to be unfairly target gay, lesbian, non-binary and transgender kids and families. Since then, Mr. DeSantis has said the company worth $270 billion in his sights. On Wednesday, Walt Disney Company confirmed it was suing Mr. DeSantis after he axed unique powers that gave them a firm, large amount of control over how the land its Disney World theme park sits on Orlando was used. The House of the Mouse said Mr. DeSantis has 5-member board that oversees the now defunct Reedy Creek Improvement District, and other state officials launching a targeted campaign of government relation against the company, according to a lawsuit filed in the federal court in the Northern District of Florida, reported the New York Post. The lawsuit was filed minutes after the oversight board struck down last-minute agreements made between Disney and the board that oversees 10,000-hectare resort and complex in Orlando. Today's action against the latest strike is the governor's bidding that the state's oversight board has purported to void publicly noted and duty-agreed development contracts, which have been laid the foundation for billions of Disney investment dollars and thousands of jobs. Disney said in its court filing, the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Florida, a targeted campaign of government retaliation orchestrated at every step by Governor DeSantis as punishment for Disney's protected speech. You protected speech, that's rich. Now threatens Disney's business operations, jeopardizes its economic future in the region, and violates its constitutional rights, the company alleged in a court filing. Another thing that this Ron's done is he's made them start paying tax, because before this they didn't have to pay tax. I think it was a state tax, so they were sitting there earning $270 billion, and they weren't contributing to the city's tax. That's pretty insane. There's only other one thing like that I really know of, and there's a weird dude who wears a funny hat, usually at the top of those things as well, and they don't have to pay tax. It's entertaining. As soon as they have been kicked in the pants by Ron DeSantis, they come out swinging and saying that it's all about gay rights and that. And obviously, it's not about gay rights when you sue him over failing to come to terms on a oversight board where you've got money invested into building things now, and you're not allowed to build those things because you actually have to answer to someone. It's entertaining, to say the least, anyway. Keep reading. Disney has cited several statements by Mr. DeSantis, including how to avoid the development agreement, as well as to look at things like taxes on the hotels, tolls on the roads, developing some of the property that district owns, and more amusement parks, and even we're putting a state prison next to Walt Disney World. The board supervisors, which run the newly Christian Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, operates a self-governing authority over issues like taxation and maintenance of public works in and around the Disney theme parks. Just the day before February, wrote the RCID struck a deal with which essentially gave Disney the authority to oversee zoning and development in the district for the next 3 decades. Mr. DeSantis blasted Disney for the move and vowed to nullify it. Last week, the 5-member board handpicked Mr. DeSantis, vowed to undo the Sweetheart development deal. Regardless of your politics, nobody should favour outdated legislation that elevates a corporation above the public good, Martin Garcia, the chairman of Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, said. In seeking to improve the functioning in the district, nothing is off the table for us. Mr. Garcia also claimed that the new board had wanted to work with Disney, but Disney decided they didn't want to work with us. It was Disney's way or the highway. The Post had sought comment from Disney. New Reuters Ipsos poll on 105 US adults find that nearly half the Republican response, 44%, held more positive view for the Florida governor over his stance towards Disney. Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, recently hit out at Mr. DeSantis, calling his actions towards the company anti-business and anti-Florida. Mr. Iger recently said in an interview with The Time that he would be willing to discuss the situation if the governor of Florida wants to meet me. Of course, we'll discuss all this. Of course, I would be glad to do that. You know that I'm one of the typically respected elected officials, and they have a responsibility that they have, and there would be no reason why I wouldn't do that. Now, since Disney's come out and decided they're going to stick their toe into political dealings, I think they're fair game for Governor Ron DeSantis there. And if they're sitting there mocking him and taking him for a ride, taking all of Florida for a ride, not paying any taxes, and pretty much lauding themselves without any consequence or any risk to anyone else stepping in and telling him no, no wonder they're shitty that they've had all this free reign, and now that Ron DeSantis has come in and kicked him in the ass and said no, you got to bend over. So it just goes to show that no one's above the law in Florida when Ron DeSantis is governor there. And if he does run for president and does become president, that'd be interesting to see if he sticks to his guns and still has the same kind of ideals anyway. But this attack will probably court case will probably come into effect as soon as the next election cycle starts. So it'll be interesting. It'll be him. He'll be in court. Trump will be in court. And it's going to be a bit of a rough ride for any Republicans running, because they're going to be in court the entire time they're running by the looks of it. And is that orchestrated by someone in the Democratic Party? I would not be surprised. I mean, how many other people that are running for president or are going to run for president are going to be going into courtrooms just as the election cycle starts? It'll be interesting to see. But Biden probably won't make it to the next election. I don't know. It depends how many drugs they keep injecting him with, but we'll see. And we knew it was coming, but the left has really lost the plot this time. And it's just proving that they are going after people's kids. They are going after children. And they are trying to bring the so-called maps into the LGBTQ, and it's disgusting. There's no other word around it. But we've got a story here from Timcast News. Transgender identifying Minnesota representative seeks to redefine pedophilia language in state law. Now, anytime they try to redefine the language, they give themselves more power. Language and the words we use are, put it this way, they are the most important thing. It is imperative that what you say, what we say, what words you use are the same that they have always been. If you go and call someone a Nazi, generally that brings up ideas of 1940s Germany, Hitler, SS, the whole shebang. Now, when you call someone a Nazi, that can just mean that they don't agree with you, or that they have differing opinions on things like abortion rights, vaccine mandates, all sorts of things. So language is very important, and the words we use keep getting changed every day. It used to be called a baby rapist. Now it's called a pedophile. The language weakens over time. Now they're trying to change that to minor attracted persons. And people like this person are seeking to make life easier for pedophiles. And I just don't see that as a worthy goal. I don't know anyone who does. And it makes you really question what their actual motives are. But we'll take a quick look at this story from Timcast here. Transgender identifying Minnesota representative seeks to redefine pedophilia language in state law. Of course, pedophilia is not a sexual orientation. Minnesota State Representative Leah Fink, who identifies as a transgender woman, introduced a bill seeking a removal of a language that associates pedophilia with a person's sexual orientation from the state's Human Rights Act. Fink's Take Pride Act, introduced earlier this year, seeks to strike languages that currently states pedophiles are not included in the protections based on sexual orientation. Minnesota Human Rights Act currently protects discrimination based on sexual orientation and defines the term as having being or perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to other persons without regard to the sex of that person or being perceived as having the orientation for such attachment or having or being perceived as having self-imagery or identified non-traditionally associated with one's biological maleness or femaleness. Binks counters the state's Human Rights Act as Minnesota representative claims the measure updates outdated language that incorrectly ties pedophilia to a person's sexual orientation. Nothing in the bill changes or weakens any crimes against children or the state's ability to prosecute those who break the law, Binks said in a statement to Fox News Digital. Of course, pedophilia is not a sexual orientation. Well, what else is it then? Is it what are they trying to say? It's a mental illness? Are they trying to weaken the stance around it so that they can receive the same rights as normal human beings that aren't baby rapers? What is their end goal here? And I think, well, that's a silly question, really. I think we all know what their end goal is. The language never should have been included in the statutory definition of the first place. Finn continued, crimes against children are located in the Minnesota criminal statutes again and they remain unchanged. The Take Pride Act further seeks to include the definition of gender identity as a person's inherent sense of being man, woman, both, or neither. A person's gender identity may or may not correspond to their assigned sex at birth and their primary or secondary sex characteristics. A person's gender identity is not necessarily visible to others. Maybe not. But do you know what is very visible to others is being a pedophile. And I don't care if you get offended about having a pedophile linked to your cause or anything like that, because it is a sexual orientation, obviously, because that's the only thing they want from children. It's not like they're just after friendships and that, is it? That's kind of the main problem, is that they're sexually attracted to children, isn't it? Fink's measures have incorporated into the Odysee policy omnibus bill stated for the consideration of the House floor today, according to one Minnesota House source. GOP House Minority Leader Lisa Dumoth told the outlet, Fink and the Democrats' push to strike language for the state's Human Rights Act was disturbing and inexplicable. Under the Human Rights Act, the definition of sexual orientation says that the sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attraction to children by an adult. Dumoth said, adding, more simply described pedophilia. The measure also sees to strike the language from Minnesota's Human Rights Act, noting sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to any children by adult. House Republicans will be presenting an amendment today to clarify that pedophilia is absolutely not a protected class under the Human Rights Act. We sincerely hope Democrats will join us in ensuring our children are protected, Demuth added. Well, at least someone's standing up for them. I mean, if they're going and trying to remove negative connotations in law, just around the wording of it, what is their end goal with that? Why are you trying to make pedophiles sound better than they are so they don't get offended, so that they have afforded some sort of human rights? I mean, if you're a pedophile, you're basically not human and you don't have any rights at that point. People like to come up with all sort of wood chipper arguments around how to deal with them. And I don't think that's far from the truth. But when people like this, it's always the left, and it's always a transgender person or a non-binary person or something like that. Why are you always pushing for pedophiles to be accepted? Why are you pushing for laws to be weakened around them? Why are you pushing for them to be included in protections? I don't think anyone should ever really want to include a pedophile in any sort of protection. And the reason that the law states that to begin with there in Minnesota is because of what they do to children. Children need to be protected, not pedophiles. People like this person here really doubt they have children's best interests at heart. It's more of their own political ideology and brainwashing that they want to get done. And they want you to pretend that pedophiles are just normal members of the rainbow mafia, I'd say, LGBTQ2+P whatever it's going to be when you guys are done with it. I don't think that's going to go ahead anyway. The Republicans seem to have nailed that coffin shut on that case. But people that, I mean, take a look at it. Like, people that are out there actively promoting to help pedophiles and give them more rights and freedoms and make people accept them, they should be put on a watch list if they aren't already. And we need to keep a close eye on those kind of people, because there's only one reason that you are trying to make life better for pedophiles and make it so that they're socially acceptable. I saw a video the other day on Twitter of a school teacher, like primary school at least, and she was talking to, I think, like 13-year-olds or something like that. And she was telling the children not to call them pedophiles anymore, that to call them maps, because pedophiles is derogatory. I vote that we be as derogatory as we want to pedophiles. And calling them maps is just weakening the language around it and making it more socially acceptable. And I think that's what these people want at the end of the day, is for it to be socially acceptable to harm children. I mean, they're harming children in other ways by neutering them, castrating them, cutting off their breasts, putting them on hormone blockers, psychotic drugs, and training them to think that they're a non-binary unicorn pony. But sexualizing children with strip shows, sexualizing them with all sorts of disgusting things that you've seen all over the internet lately, it is getting out of hand. And when they're trying to push through legislation and change legal binding documents or protections around children, and they're trying to give protections to pedophiles, I mean, it's kind of on the nose there. You know what their agenda is there, don't you? So thanks for watching, guys. We'll keep an eye on this story there in Minnesota and see if anything like that happens around here locally, because that's something to really keep an eye on. That will put pitchforks in people's hands and get them in the streets when you go after people's children. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.